On January 10th of 2016, we completed this episode of Labyrinth. A few hours later, we learned that David Bowie had actually just passed away from cancer. And needless to say, we are all devastated by this news.
Absolutely. Just wanted to take a moment to just truly, let everyone know how much we really do cherish him. And I'm just very thankful that we were able to watch this movie and, we were able to see, the things that we truly love about him and just are reminded of his greatness as an artist. And yeah, I'm just very thankful that we were able to see it. Definitely.
Yeah, I'm still in shock. I've had some moments, in my life that almost felt kind of too weird to be coincidence. And this was definitely one of those weird moments for me where, even my mom just called me today and said, Sarah, did you, pick Labyrinth because of some kind of psychic thing or something? Because my dad used to get these, weird little moments where he'd figure things out before other people did. And I don't think it's that, but I just think that I always loved David Bowie since I was a little kid. And I just so happened to choose this one because it's probably my favorite fantasy movie of all time. And David Bowie was one of my favorite performers of all time. And, I was thinking about it today that, my favorite band is Radiohead. And they probably wouldn't be my favorite band if I didn't love David Bowie as a child. And just, he's such an inspiration to everyone to just do what comes naturally for you. And to follow your inner voice, no matter how weird everybody else thinks that looks. I am so grateful that I had David Bowie shown to me as a kid, and I can't believe that he's gone. But I'm just gonna continue to try and be inspired by him.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
We're so lucky to have been alive when he was alive. And I think that us having done this episode was almost, I don't want to say that it was a good thing that, I don't know how to say this. We were praising him and talking about how much we loved him right before he left the earth. Yeah. And I think that's really special.
Absolutely.
And I hope you listeners enjoy. It's an extra long episode, but there was just so much to talk about. So.
Yeah, I hope it's not too boring, but but we definitely we love David Bowie and we love Jim Henson too, and I hope they're making great stuff in heaven right now.
Absolutely, that's awesome.
Yeah. So enjoy the show. Hello and welcome to Please Don't Send Me Into Outer Space, the podcast intent on exploring all that science fiction and fantasy has to offer, one movie at a time. My name is Joel.
My name is Sarah.
My name is Aaron.
The movie this week was Labyrinth from 1986, directed by Jim Henson, starring Jennifer Connelly as Sarah, David Bowie as Jareth, the Goblin King, and Hoggle, Ludo, and Sir Didymus as themselves. Right?
Well, they got like 8 people per... Yeah.
And that's the problem, You can name drop Brian Henson. We can name drop some of the people who actually played inside the suits, but a lot of them unknowns, but very talented people all around. So many talented things going on here. This was Sarah's pick. Very special movie to her. What makes this movie so special to you, Sarah?
David Bowie.
The end.
Good answer. Absolutely.
So I could get you like a 5-minute version of it with just the David Bowie parts on it.
This movie is near and dear to my heart. I never really got into fantasy very much as like a genre, but when I was very little, I liked unicorns and Pegasus and I liked Labyrinth. Basically, my older cousin showed this to me when I was visiting her, and it became like a whole phase of my life as a kid.
Awesome.
I was probably 5 or 6, and it just stuck with me for many years, and I still think it's pretty cool. I know it's a kid's movie, and I know it's... I feel funny that I've picked another movie that's, like, pretty dorky and dated.
Oh, no way.
Younger people, you mean?
Yeah, like, for younger people, I feel like this... Or even adults, this might seem like kind of a dorky choice,
No
but...
way. No way. I stand pretty militant in believing that this film is just awesome.
Yeah, I don't know if it's just because of my age that I saw this at exactly the right moment for me, but it started a lot of cool things for me. It started a lot of interest in different ideas and things that could be, and imagination. And David Bowie, I mean, music became a huge part of my life, and yeah. So anyway, that's just for a second why I love it so much. But did you guys want to talk anything about your memory of seeing Labyrinth as a kid, or what you think of it?
I don't really have a story. I don't honestly remember the first time I saw it. I want to say I didn't see it till I was like a teenager.
Oh.
Because I don't remember watching it as a kid. And frankly, I was a little scaredy cat as a kid. I didn't go see Big in the theater with my older siblings because I was afraid
that you would turn into adult.
I have no idea. I think I only knew that the title of the movie was Big, and that could mean a whole bunch of things.
I see what you mean. Okay.
A little scaredy cat, coddled, whatever.
Oh, come on. I'm sure you weren't coddled. Come on, dude.
No, literally. I don't know what coddled means, but I assume it means they keep me in a pot with a bunch of milk. That's what they did to me. Well, from whatever age it was, I mean, I've certainly. It's not the movie. I mean, I love the movie itself now, but I think my first fascination with it would have been the artistry behind the puppetry of it, the whole Henson workshop fascination thing that anybody who has imagination just can't help but be wowed by.
Yeah. I have a very vivid memory of first seeing this movie. I'll try to keep it short, but basically my aunt invited my parents and myself over, and I think it was around the time she started dating now my Uncle Pat, and it was just really cool because I got to meet him, and then he showed us this amazing movie, and I was just like, whoa, like totally blown away. I'm pretty sure this was like my introduction to David Bowie as well, like 101. My parents had like the records or David Bowie records and whatnot, but I'm not entirely sure if they played them at least during like, I don't know, years like 1 through 10 maybe. I don't really remember them playing them at that point in my life. So it was definitely my intro to David Bowie as well, and just all the imagery in this movie. It's intense, just really intense. But holy crap.
That's awesome.
Definitely.
Yeah, I had a conversation with a former coworker once, and she and I were talking about David Bowie, and we just like clicked, and we're talking about like how cool he was and how many different things he did. And, you know, I started thinking, you know, we're about the same age, and she was saying that that there was a whole new base of fans that began just from Labyrinth.
Yeah.
Like, that there were the fans of his from before with, like, Ziggy Stardust. But she actually saw him in concert. She made her mom take her to a David Bowie concert after seeing this. She was a little bit older than me. But we were talking about how it just kind of opened a door, like, for kids into music that they didn't really know about before. And I love that he just really owned it, you know? That he was like, he didn't phone in the performance at all. No. He was like, I am the Goblin King. And it's still, like, he's a good actor, too, in everything I've seen him do, pretty much. But, yeah, I remember thinking, like, this is crazy that there could be a whole generation of kids that all got into Labyrinth and all got into David Bowie at the same time.
Absolutely.
I heard rumors or something that they had talked to Michael Jackson about doing this. Originally.
That's what they said in those behind-the-scene things we watched, that he had to drop out or whatever for whatever reason. Yeah. And it kind of makes sense. I mean, well, it would... Any movie that would be able to cast Michael Jackson in it would be an instant, probably, success just because of how famous he was. But, like, in this country... David Bowie, like, it's funny how we talk about
I'm still
David
kind of
Bowie.
reeling. I haven't heard. I'm sorry, Joel. I just had never heard that before. Like, I'm trying to picture
Michael Jackson
like moonwalking and twirling the crystal orbs while moonwalking now. That's kind of what I'm getting. Like the whole MC Escher scene at the end. He's just kind of moonwalking, holding a baby. Like, that's... I don't know. I don't know what to tell you now. That's all I'm seeing.
Yeah, that original music that David Bowie wrote would have been like instead of him doing it.
No, the music would have all been like, you know.
Yeah, like Michael
Annie,
Jackson.
Annie, are you okay?
Music.
Like, Toby, are you okay?
A lot more drum machine. A lot more. Oh, yeah. I got your baby. You know, like, yeah.
And I'm not gonna give him back.
Not gonna give him back. You coming to my city?
I picture like Captain EO, like
yes,
Captain EO.
Yeah,
as like the Goblin King.
That's another thing that scared the out of me as a kid.
Captain EO, really?
Yeah, because that lady with the tentacles and stuff like that.
All right. No, she freaked me out too.
Children don't know who Captain EO is.
Yeah, I know that's a foreign concept to anyone. I'm sure at this point in time. Yeah. It's on YouTube. Yeah. It's on YouTube. No, it is.
I know it is. I understand, but they can't see it in the original sweet 3D.
Of course not.
Yeah, that's the important part. No, they're all sitting around first watching Honey, I Shrunk the Audience or whatever, and I don't know what's in there now. It doesn't matter. History. So what's going on?
Well, I could tell a million stories about this movie. I literally have it memorized.
Let's talk about the movie.
The movie itself. Okay, for anyone who hasn't seen it, it's about a teenage girl named Sarah. Probably another reason I liked it was because my name was Sarah.
It was Sarah. Now she's called... wait, what's your new name?
Her name's Sarah.
Oh, okay. I'm glad we cleared that up.
With a silent H.
Yeah.
Oh.
That's my sister's name.
I've been calling her Sarah. Oh, that's embarrassing.
Okay, so the movie is set in this little suburban town in the 80s, and there's a teenage girl named Sarah who is rehearsing some kind of play in the park. She's reciting something. She's trying to recite this memorized soliloquy that she has, and she can't remember the end of it. I'm going to just lay it out for you because I could probably write essays on this.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So she is in the park with her dog, and she sees an owl, and she realizes that she's late because she hears the bells from the town clock or whatever. And she runs home, and it starts raining, and when she gets there, her stepmother tells her she's late and she's supposed to be watching the baby. And this just sets up the story that she doesn't like her stepmom. She doesn't like her half-brother. And she is being forced to sort of watch the baby while her dad and this new person in her life go out and have fun or whatever.
I mean, relatively new. I mean, right now, she's been her father's wife long enough for her to have this 15-year-old toddler. Wait, how old is this kid, do you think? He was kind of he was bouncing around, so that's like less than a year, maybe.
I don't think he's over a year old.
Yeah. So
I guess she could have been.
But I mean, she's just resentful of the whole situation.
Yeah, she's resentful of the whole thing. I never really thought of it as like. Well, let me just.
You just want to speed through this.
What do you think? What do you think?
I feel like the way this movie could be handled is the way we could handle it is to literally just go through the plot slowly and talk about it, because everything that happens is kind of laid out in such an interesting way. Like even from the beginning, when you're talking about when she's in the park rehearsing that part, it's like we start in media res, like, because we don't know she's just some girl in a park. She's like giving this speech to the camera essentially. Yeah. And this could be like her on, she could be some princess that is like giving the speech to something. And then it breaks, we see that she's got the book because she's forgot her line. And
she picks up her dress and you can see her jeans. So she's not a princess. Right. She's just an average, normal, modern person.
Her sheepdog Merlin is hanging out. And that pervert owl who peeks in her window is over there.
Striking owl. It's a striking
owl. Oh, it's a handsome owl.
Yes.
Little known fact, a lot of people who are abducted by aliens sometimes think they see owls.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, little known fact.
I didn't know that.
I didn't know, yeah.
What were you going to say?
Oh, that's it.
Sorry.
I had nothing else.
Another
just
little
UFO fact. Got to derail this, this conversation somehow, so sorry.
Another little known fact, owls deliver the letter that tells you that you're a wizard or not.
Oh.
Wait,
right.
I guess that isn't little known. Never mind. And she gets home. She's mad. The parents are going out.
The mean stepmom makes the wet dog go into the garage without a blanket or a towel or anything.
Animal cruelty.
And it's just laying there wet in a pile.
She could just use her shoulder pads to.
We never see that dog
warm the
technically
dog.
Again. I mean, we do see the same dog, but they're calling it something else because it's the fantasy land. So for all we know, that dog died of hypothermia.
The dog's name's Ambrosia.
No, it's Ambrosius.
Ambrosius. Yeah, there you go.
Ambrosius. Sounds like a WWE wrestler going for like a man dressed as an old lady. I'm Ambrosius. I'll wrestle you for the title.
Ambrosius versus China.
Yep. Oh, that's awesome.
Okay. Yeah, so she's like, why do I have to stay home and watch this baby? Like, she has a pretty bad attitude about it, pretty negative.
She's been real bratty.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't want to say it, but I mean, it's kind of typical teenager.
Yeah.
We were all
I feel bad saying that, but you know what I mean? Like the idea being that, the world's so unfair, but you totally clothe me, feed me, take care of me, but the world's unfair because
everything
I have to watch.
To me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Totally. But I mean, she's saying some pretty mean things about the baby to the baby's face while he's crying.
Yeah.
So the parents go out. They don't they don't really feel bad for making her watch the kid, and they just go do their plans
Yeah, they
or
got
whatever.
plans. They don't care. They're going to the casino or something.
Whatever.
Like
Chumash.
A
Totally
play.
go to Chumash.
I think...
They're going to that Eyes Wide Shut party we see later. I don't know what's going on.
Why?
I don't know. People are into that. They're swingers.
I'm so thankful that I'm so ignorant of that statement. Ignorant bliss.
Next week, Eyes Wide Shut.
Nope.
It's not a fantasy movie. Don't worry.
Nope.
It doesn't fit into our purview.
Yay. I don't know what it is, but I'm glad that... Is it like Magic Mike? I've never seen that either.
Yeah, it's like Magic Mike.
Yes,
Alright.
it's exactly like Magic Mike.
This is great. Okay.
All right, we're recovering. It's
what can you do to Eyes Wide Shut to make it like Magic Mike?
I've never seen Magic Mike. I can't do it. So, yeah.
I know nothing.
Aaron hasn't seen either. Yeah.
Oh, God. Oh, God.
No, it's driven to that music.
Oh, God.
Oh, man. Wait, if you combine in Magic Mike and Eyes Wide Shut, don't you just end up with Showgirls?
The Full Monty, maybe? I don't
Oh, that's a comedy.
know where I'm headed with this, so...
It's like they're in a secret society where they all wear cloaks and then they take them off and it's like, it's raining.
Yeah, exactly. They're like the monks, those monks, the chanting monks. And then I want a calendar of guys in monk robes where you can't see their face, but they're lifting the bottom of the robes and they're wearing a thong.
Okay.
So she doesn't like this baby.
Yeah.
Yeah, she doesn't like the baby, and she's telling this story to the baby about how the Goblin King is in love with her. She's like kind of talking to the mirror, but she's talking to the baby, and she's saying, the Goblin King loves me, and I could have him take you away if I wanted to.
Mm-hmm.
And it just kind of sounds like a story that she's making up off the top of her head, which is, a pretty out there story.
She comes off as a pretty weird kid. I mean, that's the kind of... Like, she's old enough where she looks like she's like 15 or 16 at least, and it's like if somebody's making up that kind of story in their head where, like, it feels like she believes what she's saying, and that would be concerning. Like, as a parent, I'd be like, therapist.
I kind of jumped to conclusions a little bit with the beginning of this film, but you kind of get the feeling like she just spends a lot of time in her room
Alone, yeah.
alone,
In the park, alone.
reading to herself.
Yeah.
There's like no mention of like her wanting to hang out with friends or
Mhm.
anything like that in the beginning of this film. She's just upset that she has to stay at home. I don't know what to tell you about this. I mean, that was some of the observations I made watching it this time through.
This could be a short film based on the amount of stuff we've gotten out of just this beginning part.
Yeah.
Seriously.
It's already done.
Yeah, and I think I made a comment like in the first scene when she comes home and all the action is happening when she's complaining and the parents are like, but you have to watch the baby, and this was the first time I kind of tried to look at it with a more analytical eye, and the back and forth is like a little pedantic between the actors in that scene, but I think they carry the story along like at the pace it needs to go because there's so much that needs to happen in Labyrinth.
Yeah.
And I think everybody did an excellent job, but it was there there wasn't like a real pause between what the characters were saying to each other. They were just kind of like, blah, la, la, blah, la, la.
Yeah.
Which, you know, when you're angry, I guess you might yell back and forth at each other that fast.
Yeah. It felt natural.
Yeah.
Especially, you know, through the door kind of a thing. I'm sure I've done that a few times with my parents as well.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Pretty natural.
I mean, yeah, if you wanted to overanalyze it, it feels like they are part of like a play, but they're playing their parts.
Yeah.
They're not overacting or anything like that. It's not, you know,
I kind
of just a thing.
Went off on a tangent there. But what I was thinking about when we were talking about how she believes it is I didn't see her as a kid who was so wrapped up in fantasy that she like believed these stories she was telling. I saw her as like a theatrical kid that like was really into theater, that she was like in character, not that she was like, this is who I am all the time and this is my reality, but it was like, I'm an actress and this is my story in this character.
As a former theater kid, I could say theater kids are the worst. Anyway.
What?
I'm just kidding.
Dude, yeah.
We had the best time.
We've all been on the stage. I was the Phantom. Erin was Christine. Sarah was the person with the cane that pulls people off the stage when
for real?
They're annoying.
For real? Or is he just making this up now?
No, I'm just making.
Oh, are you sure?
No, you don't remember being Christine? I'm upset.
Oh, no. Well, I mean, I knew you were making fun of me, but I don't know.
Christine. So.
Yeah, anyway, we
let's
did
get to
all...
this. We haven't even gotten to the
drama
fantasy.
kids.
Okay, so yeah, just we were all in drama.
At one point or another.
Drama.
We've all acted before.
Mm-hmm. Total Drama Island.
I never thought that I'd ever talk about Total Drama Island and the Labyrinth at the same time.
I saw this one episode.
That's pretty good, dude.
Cross your arms, we're crossing our arms. This is the thing we're doing.
All right.
Okay.
All arms are crossed. Let's do this.
Okay.
So she's saying these things to the baby.
The babe with the power.
And that's when we get the first glimpse into something that doesn't fit. I mean, well, the whole owl thing didn't really fit into a thing, but that could just be a coincidence. You know. Also, David Bowie doesn't usually sing when I'm running through the rain and mud, but we get
Good point.
I wish he did.
I could have you taken away. And we get a glimpse at a bunch of, frankly, kind of frightening looking things in, I don't know if they're in a closet or what, going like, ooh.
It's very obscure. The background is very obscure, so that you just focus on those faces staring at you. Very true.
Yeah. It's like the same closet E.T. was hanging out in when he was hiding.
It's Enter the Goblins at this point.
Enter the Goblins. What's she saying?
Yeah, it's like she basically is making a threat that she thinks is like a false threat.
It's empty.
Yeah, it's empty.
Course.
And I mean, in reality, of course, you wouldn't think that something like this would happen. Like,
yeah.
And then basically she comes out and says, like, take my brother away, and then it's silent completely, and she suddenly like gets scared. But as a kid, I remember being totally afraid by the little goblins in the room and in the closet at that moment.
Yeah,
and
freaky eyeballs.
You don't know what's gonna happen. Like, as a kid, like, you don't know what those things are gonna do, or what they're gonna do to the baby, or...
Well, I mean, it's kind of creepy in the sense that, like, they are looking into, or at least wherever they're at, like, they're pretty much, being kind of voyeuristic in a sense. Like, they're just, like, waiting for her to say something that's, like, going to release them or something. Like, they're very, like, eager. Yeah, I mean, if you really want to dissect it, that's pretty creepy.
Yeah.
Like, that's a creepy thing.
Rushing out of your closet and grabbing your sibling or something.
That's like Critters level of creepy there.
That's what exactly I was thinking. Or Gremlins even?
Even Gremlins, yeah.
Critters.
It's funny because I never really thought about where they were when they were all like that.
Yeah.
But I guess I always thought that they could hear her, but that they weren't in the same place as her.
Yeah.
But I didn't know where they were listening from. Like, if they were just, like, hanging out at the palace or something. Or...
This is the first time I feel like we've actually felt like we had to figure out kind of what was going on in the world, as opposed to just accepting that this was the story. Like, we're kind of like, not poking holes in it, but like prodding it to see, like, well, what are these creatures actually, and why do they need a baby, and where did this guy come from, and is this person also a goblin or something else? And I think that was actually a pretty cool thing we were doing during the movie.
Yeah. Because we've all seen it numerous times, right. So.
I want to talk about that part when, like you said, where she's like, I wish she would take you away right now. And she walks out of the room, the baby's crying, and just when it cuts off, I think that's a really good part because
it's powerful.
It's like you also.
You're just like, whoa.
It's that moment is like so well done that I think that like the suspense it creates in that absence of sound is like so much better than like so many other people do in movies. Yeah. Like there were a few moments like that in this movie that I think, even though it's a silly fantasy movie, like they made some excellent style choices. Oh, yeah. They made like you were saying in the opening part where you're not sure if she's what she is yet. Like, that was a style choice that they made entering her character.
Yeah.
And I feel like, yeah, like you're saying, that moment is still strong. Like, now.
Truly feeling like, getting everything you wished for, might not be the best thing in the world. Yeah, it was definitely a moment there where it's like, oh.
It's like you don't realize the power of words. You just think there are things coming out of your mouth, and that could apply to any part of anyone's life. Calling somebody a name or saying something offhand because you don't realize the person you're talking about is standing right behind you, or in mentioning something that you think is super obscure that has like a dire effect on somebody you're having a conversation with. Like, they've got a bad association. Your words have power all the time, and this is like, boom, literal power.
Yeah.
Like, you requested this, guess what?
It makes you feel so bad, too. Like, I remember thinking as a kid that, how many things have I said that I wish I could take back,
mm-hmm.
And we all do, it's part of being human. We've all said things that we didn't mean, and in the heat of the moment been upset or whatever.
Yeah, when you're a teenager, you don't realize what you're going to say. It's like you figure out how to hurt somebody, like a parent or anything like that, and you could say something just boom, because this is a tender spot on mm-hmm. my parents' psyche, and if I say something, I know because they're making me really upset, so I'm gonna hurt them. And it's even as an adult, you can sometimes do something like slip up like that, and you gain control as an adult, but you don't lose that ability.
No.
Yeah,
like you see somebody's weakness, and if you wanted to be an a-hole. Like, people on message boards.
Every once in a while, you see something like that go down in person, and it just makes you go, oops. Because just because you can do something doesn't mean you should.
Absolutely.
And a lot of the times, people that get that upset, they really regret it afterwards, you know?
Oh, yeah. Instant regret almost.
The regret on her face.
Yeah.
Is like, it's not only regret, it's terror.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, just think, like, if you had a baby that you were watching and it was crying and all of a sudden you couldn't hear it crying anymore, still. Now that's like
well, especially right after, like, having so much anger, so much, like, just being so upset and then just truly wishing, oh my God, I wish you weren't here. And then boom, like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Terrifying.
Terrifying.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, she honestly probably doesn't really hate the child at all. It's just the circumstance, you know? And,
yeah.
And
now I want to see a cut of the movie where she does that. She turns around and she says, Toby. And then it flashes to outside. It's been hours later. She's sitting in the back of a police car and the police are talking to her parents. Because that's what would really happen.
oh my god. And then, like, the next scene after that, when she goes back into the room.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
She's
that
just
crib.
slowly approaching.
That's like a horror movie, that
my God.
moment. I mean,
Very
I know.
Critters, like, with the little kind of thing, and the blanket moves. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Like, you don't know what's going to be under there. And everything that happens in that room is so cool. Like, the guys just kind of poking their heads out, like jumping from one section to another. And she's not catching it, but we're all catching it. And, like, it's like, oh, whoa. And then that freaking owl. Again, it's like, hey, let me in. It's me, your old pal, Mr. Owl. How many licks does it take to get to the center of a Tootsie Roll Tootsie Pop? I'll tell you.
I can remember being scared. In that scene as a kid with all the goblins and stuff, and it's dark and spooky. And I can remember thinking, yeah, but in just a second, David Bowie's gonna...
Don't worry about it.
Don't worry.
The Goblin King will be here soon.
So he shows up. He bursts in, right? He goes from owl to man.
Yeah, he shifts.
And what does she say?
That was done gracefully, too.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, for crying out loud. I've seen so many transformations on film that are, like, graceless. They look ugly, you know?
Doppelganger.
Hey, when we watch my pick Kroll, you're going to see some great transitions.
Oh, man.
They did it from behind.
You said one word that always brings me great pleasure. Thank you.
Transition. No.
Yeah, they did it from behind with this shadow, and you see his tall collar coming up like a vampire or something. But yeah, even in that moment, it's like you're dealing with somebody who knows a little bit about what they're doing.
No, he turns around, he's got like a little owl face on his package area.
What?
It's the shape. You can have a little owl there. Like, that's right, I didn't fully transform. I don't know, I've gone crazy.
It's okay. It's okay. I'm rolling with it. I love it.
What does she say? She says, where is he, right?
Where is he?
Yeah. She says, where is he? And he says, you know exactly where he is.
Cool as everything.
Ice.
The second that line slips out of his mouth, you're like, Goblin King, take me away.
David Bowie was probably my first crush.
Oh, man.
I didn't really know what a crush was, but he probably was. The British accent, his cool singing, and just his delivery on that kind of stuff. It's just so smooth.
It's got gravitas without even trying.
Yeah.
Jeez. I want to... For my job, I repair printers and stuff like that, and I just want to be like, I don't think the problem is your fuser. I think you're going to need to order an entire set of rollers. Ladies.
Just wear a huge cape.
I get toner all over it.
It's like somebody said, like, how would you feel about being a king? And he was like, oh, yeah. Like,
yeah.
Okay. And then, of course. He may as well have been born king.
Oh, hold on a second. Came back. He was already dressed up that way. What were you saying?
I tried this new thing with my hair.
Mm-hmm. What do you think of this feathery? Oh, man. Amazing. Such presence.
It's powerful.
Wow.
It's just powerful. I mean, even saying that, I just feel like an idiot, but you know what I mean? Like, it's so powerful.
Yeah, I'm getting chills.
Everything comes to another level. Like, the presence he brings to the film. And I mean, I know, like, I'll say this again. it's a silly kids movie that's, but it's awesome.
Yeah.
It's awesome. And the way he does it is so believable. I mean, we're talking about a ridiculous situation here.
Yeah.
A musician playing a Goblin King in a puppet movie, and he owns it. He's like, he rocks it out.
Yeah.
He could be the Goblin King. He could be anything.
Totally.
I just was like, yeah. And I'm glad to hear you say you agree.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, yeah. On board.
I don't think there's
Totally on board.
I don't think Jennifer Connelly does bad at all. I think she does really good. I think he does great. Like, if I had to pick out the bad actors in the movie, it's probably her dad.
The baby. No, I'm just kidding.
The baby.
Definitely wasn't Ghostbusters level of baby acting, but it was all right. I agree with you.
I didn't believe the baby.
Not believable, like Ghostbusters baby.
He was either being pinched or he was not being pinched. That was his role. So.
You know exactly where he is.
Yes.
And then he tells her it's set up very quickly. He tells her that she can go through the labyrinth and try to get him back. I think he doesn't usually do this. That's one of the things we were talking about. Like, how many times has this happened before? How many babies have turned into goblins? Or...
he keeps saying that I'm doing this all for you. This is what you wanted. And it probably is. Like, she wanted a quest. She wanted a reason.
An adventure.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like, it was for her, everything that happened. And it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, why wouldn't he just take the baby? Be like, later, babe.
He didn't take the baby until she asked him to.
Right.
I mean, even that.
Yeah.
It's kind of a yearning feeling that I feel sometimes when I'm running a role-playing game, It's like, I've set up this entire adventure just for you.
Totally.
And you decided to go the wrong way.
And you rolled a 20 and this guy's dead. He won't be able to tell you the rest of the story.
Yeah.
Congratulations, you've killed Yoda.
He sets a clock for 13 hours. It's like an egg timer.
Pretty much.
Or to like 13 o'clock, however you want to look at it.
Oh, yeah, 13th o'clock, yep.
Fancy clock.
It was pretty cool.
Well, when they transition into the land, it's not like she steps through a doorway or something like that. She just kind of like turns around and he's standing there, and then the rest of the place...
The house is gone.
It's gone. She is suddenly on the outskirts of this labyrinth. Like, she can look down and see it. And it's this really nice model. Like, I wish, oh God, if I had, hundreds of thousands of dollars, I would try to track that down and buy it. Because it's so cool looking with the Goblin King's castle right in the middle,
It's awesome.
They made so many things for this movie. They built so much. They built like a whole world from scratch. And it wasn't CG. It was practical effects. And all these characters are puppeted. And it's just crazy.
Glittered. Everything.
Glitter.
Heavily glittered.
It's funny that I didn't notice the glitter as a little girl.
Yeah. It's not legend level of glitter, but I'm going to have to say...
I don't know.
I don't know. Because glitter is like literally spray... Oh, you know what I mean.
I'm going to have to rewatch Legend again.
Well, yeah, I was going to say we probably should save it for
another episode.
Yeah, stay tuned for the Legend episode.
Legend was too scary for me. I didn't see Legend, and I didn't see Dark Crystal until I was much older. But
same.
The Dark Crystal, I think, has the same amount of puppeting and
if not more so.
Yeah,
because there's no live actors in Dark Crystal. There's nobody acting off each other. It's like I can't even say like the Muppet Show. It's like
well, it's definitely its own thing, man.
Yeah,
and it's its own thing.
It's a fantastic adventure that he came up with. God rest his soul. I wish Jim Henson had lived for another 20 years.
I know.
Jim Henson was a creative genius.
I miss him too, man.
I just think that it's amazing that he was able to do all of that. And just all of the ideas that come into my head sometimes, I think, like, somebody, like, was actually able to, like, build these things from their imagination. And that's just so inspiring. I can't even believe it.
I remember the day that maybe not the day that he died, but the day it was in the newspaper that he had died of pneumonia or whatever.
Yeah.
And I remember, like, taking the newspaper with me, and I'd walk down to the local school to get on the bus to go to a different school. And, like, having this with me, because it had such a huge impact on me when I was, I don't know how old I was, because I don't know exactly the day he died. I could look it up, but I just have this very clear memory. And I don't, for some reason, when it comes to school, I don't have very many clear memories. But I had the newspaper. It was like a front page thing in the Ventura County Star or whatever. And it was like, I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe that somebody that I thought was important could just die.
Yeah.
Like that. And I'd had relatives who had died and stuff like that by then. So I was familiar with the concept. But it was like, I knew that he had died of something that, like, wasn't really a thing people died of very often anymore.
Yeah.
It seems to be something. Pneumonia seems to be like a totally evil thing that just sometimes sneaks up on people, and they do. Now that I'm an adult, I know it could just get you like that. But it's like, as a kid, like, boom.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Definitely, because his name was everywhere.
Yeah.
Like, his influence, everything, and yeah.
You saw him with Kermit.
Yeah.
Like, that.
Yeah.
Like, as kids, we saw those images of him with those characters that he created. And it wasn't like, look at me, kids, I created this. It was like he was a cool, friendly person who created more cool, friendly things for all of us to love as kids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's gross.
Sorry
Sorry to bring it down.
No,
there should be
it's
more
okay.
Jim
It's
Hensons
okay.
in the world.
There should be. Absolutely. People shouldn't be afraid to do things
I
like
will
that.
say something though, that it was very interesting to see that Sci-Fi Channel had that Jim Henson Creature reality TV show. And if you look at the timing of that TV show in correlation with the release of Star Wars The Force Awakens, very interesting that perhaps maybe some of the people on that show might have ended up working on with Henson Studio with the Star Wars films. So,
Really?
yeah, if you look at the correlation between those two things,
That's cool.
it's kind of interesting.
Huh.
Yeah.
So
Where were we anyway?
So he has just taken her to the Labyrinth. He's told her there's 13 hours. She has told him, there's no way I'm turning back, even though he's told her over and over again, turn back. Turn back. You've gotten what you wanted. You're not going to be able to get to the center of this. And she's like, no, I have to. So that's where we're at. We're at the top of the hill. She's looking down.
Yeah.
Doesn't look so hard, she says.
Yeah. She's ready to try and do it because she feels terrible and she does love her brother. So she starts off, she meets Hoggle. Hoggle? Do you guys have anything you want to say about that part? Or just...
Aaron went to the bathroom, ironically, when this scene was happening, where we catch Hoggle going to the bathroom. That's pretty fantastic. I mean, that's not...
We're both really similar.
You would never see that now.
Exactly. Well, who do you think of? You don't think of, like, Kermit the Frog or Miss Piggy ever having to go to the bathroom. And here's this... this creature.
This Muppet.
It's like our first sign of, like, hey, this movie's kind of raunchy. It's got some weird things going on.
Yeah.
There's one that we had never noticed before that we'll talk about later.
I feel like this is foreshadowing of that.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh, pardon me.
Maybe it's referencing some old work of art that I don't know or something.
Yeah, dwarf peas in fountain. While young girl looks on.
15-year-old watching
by Picasso.
Urinating. Beautiful.
Da Vinci.
Da Vinci's...
You know,
Da Vinci's dwarf urinating.
he invented the ornithopter, and then he was like, let's paint a dwarf taking a leak.
Shut up. Never mind.
No, it's more like one of those, like a garden gnome, you know? They're, like, facing away from you. They're supposed to be, like, peeing in your garden or something like that. Or some of them even have little hoses where it makes it look like they're... I feel like that's what they were going for.
Referencing the fountain.
Hoggle is this character that's kind of, cynical. He's kind of a cantankerous, he's kind of a hater.
He's got some trust issues.
Yeah.
He's definitely got some serious trust issues.
I feel like she immediately knew the kind of rules. Like, there were rules for dealing with this type of creature, especially later when she makes a trade with him. It's like, did she learn this all from that play or something like that? Did she already know? Or was it just because this was her fantasy that the Goblin King had set up? You know, it was just instinctual.
I get the feeling she did her research on the player's handbook and the monster manual.
Oh, okay.
And she knew well how to deal with the dwarves.
I see.
I think that she's pretty diplomatic in her dealings with all the creatures she encounters. Yeah. She is not fazed by just seeing goblins or talking worms or anything. And yeah, it's crazy. She is just sort of aware going into it that these are things she's gonna see.
Dude, and it's such a good lesson, I think. I mean, I know I'm hitting
that's cool.
I'm hitting the RPG references pretty hard on this episode, but I think it's a good reference for players. If you liked RPG, man, follow her lead. I mean, you don't have to attack everything, in my opinion, and I feel that sometimes people like to just, poke it with the sword before trying to talk to it. That seems to be the...
Yeah.
You see a moldy-looking dwarf peeing into a fountain. I attack the dwarf.
That happens all the time.
The dwarf starts screaming, why?
All the time.
I feel like people create a character when they're doing role-playing of something that they wish they were, that they aren't. And oftentimes, it's like this person who you would never see doing something like that creates this like aggressive alter ego so that they can like have a outlet for that. And I've experienced that too.
You're on point.
I've totally seen that of like, now I'm in this universe and I'm just gonna stab whatever I see or whatever.
Straight up sociopath. Yep. It's true. It's true. I've had to deal with a few times, but not everybody has their A game when going into a role-playing game. It just happens,
Right.
But yeah, it's so cool. I think
it's cool that Sarah's just nice to everybody she encounters.
Right, like, she doesn't assume.
Yeah.
That things are out to get her.
And
this is just some little guy who he's polite when he realizes that, oops, there's somebody watching me. Oh, pardon me. Kind of thing, but he's not going to tell her.
You have a really good Hoggle voice, by the way, Joel, I have to say.
I ain't lost my head. Yeah. No, I've been practicing for years.
Yeah, so he's spraying fairies with some kind of poison. And then she goes inside she starts the labyrinth.
The little details on this world. Every little thing that could just be cut out of movies.
Moved on.
Like, what kind of detail, like, do we need to point out? Oh, by the way, he's out here because he was having fun poisoning these fairies. That, like, she feels like, oh, no, that's terrible. Picks one up and it bites her on the hand because this is what you expect a fairy to do, right? It's like this detail could have been cut out of the movie. Like, it could have just been like, oh, let me, you want to show the way? I'm not going to show you the way. Well, it's this way. That kind of thing. And I think it's important to the world building, all of that. I mean, it's crazy how much world building they do.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Totally in depth.
And it's crazy that there's not a huge fiction that's gone on from there. I'm sure there's lots of fan fiction and stuff like that. Now I know.
I'm sure if you look it up,
there's that sequel.
It's only a click away, Joel. It's only a couple clicks away.
I'm still reading through all that Simpsons fan fiction from the first season, so not ready to move on yet.
All right.
Yeah.
Very well. You're determined.
Anyway, sorry.
It's okay.
I know we're trying to do a movie.
No, there's just so much to talk about.
Yeah.
It's funny that I didn't realize it was going to be like this because I was just thinking it was going to be like when we did Bill and Ted's, and I was just like, this movie was cool and it's awesome and you should totally watch it. But this one...
Well, the journey is just so... It's step by step, man. Like... She's in a maze. She's trying to, go find her brother.
She's in a Henson maze.
Yeah.
Henson. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely not the aggro crag.
And everything is just you could turn a magnifying glass on any corner of it and there would be depth.
Absolutely.
It's not just superficial, it's everywhere in the movie.
Right.
Every little piece of moss in the corner of the landscape.
Amazing.
If you went in on it, you would see, like, they create this world where you're just thinking, well, here's another worm and his wife.
Well, before she gets into the labyrinth, we once again reemphasize that words are important because Haga will not open the labyrinth until she says the right thing. Right, which is kind of interesting because she only changes what she's saying slightly, and he's like, now you're asking the right question, or whatever he says.
Words have power.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Opens that door for her. So, I mean, man. Anyway.
No, that's a really good point.
So rich.
I know.
She walks in to the first circle.
Mm-hmm.
The door closes behind her. She's surrounded by sparkles.
It looks like she's just staring straight. I mean, I assume most people have probably seen this movie.
Right. Well, yeah, I guess it should be said. If you haven't seen the movie, maybe you should watch it first.
Yeah, go watch it.
I feel like, I don't know what our age demographic is because it's not like we have a ton of listeners or anything like that, but
yeah,
it's almost as if after a certain age, this movie just can't appeal to people because we've shown it to people our age and older, and it's just been like, that was a bad movie. Like, what are you talking about? Like, it put a spell over us.
I don't see bad movie at all. Maybe it's just early exposure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I just see beloved film that I can watch and feel really good about whenever I watch it. You know what I mean? I don't see it with a critical eye, I guess.
I like... The only thing I can think is that they were waiting for stuff to happen. And it's like, stuff is happening, but in a set the scene kind of way, and then something happens in that scene, not like, we need to run through this because there's dragons and stuff like that. It's like, oh, she ran into this interesting person with a bird on her head that, like, oh, we're going to spend a little time with this. We're not just going to walk by. It's not going to be a thing. Like, there's scenes going on in like statues, rock faces, and
most things have purpose.
Yeah,
everything has a purpose in this movie.
Exactly.
For the most part, to make the story go forward.
Right.
We know she's on a time limit, but you still get to spend this time with all this scene eating kind of cool stuff. You know, like totally what you just said.
So you should watch it.
Yeah, you should. And the only thing I was thinking was, like, if... I understand it might not be some people's cup of tea. I totally get that.
I just don't see
it. But it almost feels like you would have to either not like David Bowie, which is crazy to me.
I just drink the Kool-Aid on this one. I see what you're saying.
Or it would be like looking at a little kid's movie and trying to see it as an adult's movie.
Right.
Like if you saw Aladdin and you're like, this is stupid.
Yeah. And there are people that do that.
Yeah.
I think that's like, shut up.
Yeah, it's
I mean,
fantasy.
I used to do that, you know.
I think though you bring up a good point though. There's always going to be someone who's critical of something. You know, opinion would just dictate that. You know, everyone has an opinion about something, or at least most people do.
Yeah. Opinions are like that thing, stuff, places.
So in the Labyrinth, she encounters all these different creatures, which we're talking about how they're all just fully realized, fully fleshed out.
Let's keep it at the same speed. I mean, she can't find a way in, right?
Okay.
Yeah. But you were going to say, like, it looks like she just sees an endless hall.
Yeah, on either direction, as far as the eye can see.
She tries to make tracks. She runs down there, runs back and forth. It's like there is no way in there. It's like there's one outer circle and she can't get back in. Right? And that's when she meets
the worm.
The worm. Who is not an important character, but is so good.
Yeah.
So we had to take a break there. Aaron had to leave, unfortunately. He got something he has to take care of at home, but we're going to continue on without him. I can't believe we're talking about it for so long, but there's just... I feel like this viewing crystallized so many things this time. I don't know, if I was being hyper observant or we all were or something like that. I just feel like there's so much to talk about that me and Sarah are going to carry on without him, and he'll be back for the next episode.
Yeah. We miss you, Aaron, but we'll see you next time.
God rest your soul. Wait, he's alive. Never mind. So, the worm.
The worm, yeah. The worm has a little scarf and a little funky hairdo. And, just to think about, who made the scarf for the worm? It's, crazy that Jim Henson had this... I mean, the detail of all these little creatures, the blinking eyes on the worm. Oh, yeah. Just crazy.
Big blinking eyes, little English accent to go. They do that visual trick where sometimes she's talking to a little puppet, or not even a puppet version, it's just like a little toy version of the worm that's moving around, and then we'll get close up where we see the worm talking, and it's even that character, this character that's in the movie for 2 minutes? Yeah. And it kind of is being kind of aloof, kind of Alice in Wonderland, Cheshire Cat. Although he's not, there is no malice in what he's telling her about. He invites her in. He's like, come into my little hole, meet the missus.
Yeah, that's silly. I always thought, how's she gonna get in there? How? But it's cute that he makes that courtity with her.
He doesn't know. Maybe he's done it 100 times with other people. Maybe they have gone in.
For some reason, every time I watch this, I think, it just seems so desolate. That... Is that the word that I'm looking for?
Nobody around?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks like nobody's been there for 100 years. Maybe these little worms and stuff have been, but to me, it looks just abandoned almost. It's just vacant, except for the creatures that live in this world.
Yeah.
So in my imagination, she's the only one that's run this gauntlet.
At least in a very long time.
Yeah.
Yeah. And she gets by with the visual trick, the optical illusion that there is a space, right?
I love that so much. Yeah. This is one of my favorite moments in the movie, and this is what I'm talking about with the movie, introducing bigger ideas to kids. The ideas that are shown in this movie are bigger than you might have ever imagined as a kid before this point. So this is just one of those simple optical illusions that they did. And it looks like the wall is flush. Like, there's a brick wall that's just flush. And basically, the worm is telling her that's how you get in. And she puts her hands out and starts walking towards the wall. And as she walks towards it, you can see that there's a gap. That it's 2 pieces of the wall that look like brick or something. Or rocks or whatever.
I felt like I couldn't see it until she actually, like, left the area. Like, even when she had walked past the point where she should have ran into a wall, I feel like I still was seeing flat wall until she walked behind one of the other ones.
It's done so well that I feel that way almost every time I see it. That it's just... I mean, I can think of practical effects that are done way worse than that now in movies.
Oh, sure. They try to CGI it.
Yeah. And that is so simple, but so useful. And, you know, every time I see a wall that looks like that now, I think, like, if you were standing back from it, would it look like it was one piece or whatever?
Yeah. And that's not the only time that they do this visual trick. Like, if you're looking at something at exactly the right angle where the camera is doing, you see something that you won't be able to see once the camera moves. You know, it's like... anyways, we'll get to that part later when we see that other visual thing, but...
It's like they took these ideas that are... I almost want to say these different mediums of art and just... applied them to all these different situations in the movie. But I can't remember what I was going to say. Something about that part with the wall has always seemed... It wasn't just seeing that for me as a kid. It was seeing what could be. It wasn't what was there. It was what could be there. The possibility of there being a secret door that led somewhere that I couldn't see.
Yeah.
It was a bigger idea than my... brain had ever tried to handle before.
There are so many different versions of a secret opening, a secret wall in this movie. It's kind of mind-blowing when you, like, if you were to count them out.
Yeah.
It's crazy. This is also where we get revealed the real enemy of this movie. Because Sarah starts to walk off in one direction, and Mr. Worm, our friend the Worm, goes, No, don't go that way. Never go that way. And so she thinks, oh, he's protecting me. Okay, I'll go the other way. And he was protecting her. But he immediately goes, that way takes you right to the castle after she's out of earshot. That worm just made her trip. So he is a Sith Lord. That's what I'm saying. Start the conspiracy theories.
Yeah, you love the worm, but you hate him because he told her how to get in, but he also told her the longest way around. Mm-hmm. Like, if that way was straight too, you wonder if the other way was the farthest way possible around.
None of that other stuff would have happened. She would have ended up in the MC Escher area before anything else had happened. What am I doing?
Dude, yeah. Like, hey, I'm here for my brother.
Hello. I believe I beat your time. Damn it.
He has his way of looking at where she is in, like, a crystal ball.
Yeah.
Like, I never really thought about it before, but, like, what kind of magic is that? Like, being able to see... That's like a...
I mean, crystals are often said to hold magical power or healing power or whatever power, you know, even like people say that in real life. So I don't know.
Yeah.
The crystal balls are a constant theme. Like, he presents them to her when he first kidnaps
in the
baby,
room.
And you know, he's doing the juggler hand tricks thing, which
that's amazing.
Yeah.
It's still amazing. I mean, I know I am biased about this movie, but... I
mean, it's great. No, it is really cool watching those things just rolling back and forth on their hands and then switching from hand to hand. And knowing, if you watch the extra features that are on the special edition DVD, you find out that a juggler had to reach through David Bowie's arms. Like, he had his arms on his side and they reached through in between his arms and his waist, and had to do it blind.
He performed it behind David Bowie with his arms in front of him.
So you can see a couple of times when he accidentally drops the ball. Of course, he's not seeing what he's doing. I'm sure visual is a big part of it. You know, you got to move your hand at the exact point when the ball is going to switch over. And so that guy, so many talented workers.
I know.
Everywhere.
I know. I can't believe how many people from how many different disciplines had to get in on this.
Yeah. Mime work and juggling work and puppetry, obviously, and voice acting and man.
Yeah.
Awesome stuff.
So this is Dance Magic Dance.
I believe that's what happens next, right? Yeah. We go back to the Goblin King's chamber. Actually, this is the first time we've seen the Goblin King's chamber. He just hangs out in a big room, like a old castle-looking room, sitting on his throne, surrounded by goblins.
And chickens.
There's
a lot of chickens in this movie.
There's chickens in Star Wars. There's chickens in every fiction.
Really?
Chickens are the universal, oh my gosh, Illuminati. The chickens.
They're added into every environment to make it seem more real.
It's like somebody can't imagine a world without some form of chicken.
Even in space or a fantasy land.
I'm calling it right now. One of those next Avatar movies, chickens in space. Oh, man.
So this is like the iconic moment of David Bowie as the Goblin King. And he does this song that's basically the Labyrinth song. I mean, I love all the songs in this movie, truthfully. I can't help it. But this one is the one you think of when you think of Labyrinth with David Bowie.
Saw my baby cry as hard as babe could cry. What could I do? Yeah, man. Oh, man. It's so funny in the scene when he's like, the goblins are just playing around and I don't know if they're talking about anything, but he just kind of walks up to one and grabs him on the mouth and starts off this like rhythm song part. Like it comes out of nowhere. You remind me of the Babe.
Yeah, you remind me of the Babe is like he's doing that thing that's, I don't know if you want to look up where it's from or if you know where it's from, but it's originally, you remind me of the man with the power, and it's from something else.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, I have no idea.
Yeah, my mom told me that. I almost want to say it's like an Abbott and Costello routine or something.
Oh, man, that's crazy. I mean, that would make sense. I mean, they're getting their comedy influences from classics.
Right. But yeah, he just tweaked it so that it was about the Babe with the power. And
it says Cary Grant. You remind me of the man. What man? The man with the power. What power? The power of hoodoo. Who do you do? Do what? The Bachelor and the Bobby Soxer. That's crazy. I had no idea it was from something else, though.
Like, part of me sees, like, David Bowie at home having a cup of tea watching this movie. He's like, I'm gonna use this for that song I'm doing in that movie.
What if I went up to one of these goblins and said, "Who's on first?"
Exactly. Like, he's watching old movies in his mansion.
Yeah.
With Iman.
How that elephant got in my pajamas, I'll never know. Yeah. Something was going on with him. I don't know what. She's rubbing his feet, or vice versa. They're watching old movies. This is the 80s, right? You got VHS existed then.
I don't think they were
VHS
together.
Copy.
Yeah, but...
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah, this... Actually, speaking of VHS, this movie, I think I said my cousin showed it to me. Mm-hmm. She's a few years older than me. When I was probably, 4 or 5, and I was visiting them in Sacramento, and my aunt asked me if I wanted a tape-to-tape copy. This was what we did back in the day, children. We had a VCR, and we'd do a tape-to-tape recording. You had to have one of the movie going and a blank one that you could copy the movie onto, and this was like, you were not supposed to do this. This was like old school piracy. Like,
I don't know what the statute of limitations is on this thing. They could come get you.
I know.
They come arrest your aunt. FBI, break in right now.
I was 4 or 5, so hopefully they wouldn't get me for it. But
you're going to juvie.
But I remember very distinctly my aunt saying to me, I'm going to make you a copy of the Labyrinth. And my dad was excited because he knew how much I liked it or whatever. And my dad liked David Bowie too. That was probably why, and now that I think about it, my dad did like David Bowie. So he was probably like, this is cool. David Bowie's in it.
Yeah. Hey, he tend to like what you liked anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, he kind of got behind anything I liked and really went full force. But anyway, my aunt says to me, you know, there's some trailers before the movie. Do you want me to record those too? And I said, yeah. And she goes, oh, but the name of the rose is one of the trailers and you don't want that. And I'm like, a rose? Like, yeah, I do want that. I do want the name of the rose on the beginning. And she was like, no, you don't, Sarah. And I said, yeah, I do. And so she recorded this trailer onto the beginning of my Labyrinth tape. And if you guys have never heard of The Name of the Rose, it's a messed up movie. It is a messed up medieval torture movie with Sean Connery. And for some unknown reason, god damn it, they put this at the beginning of the Labyrinth for kids.
Maybe it was done by the same company, production company or something.
It was unfathomable. Now that I look back on it, there's like a cow being slaughtered or something in the trailer and like just scary stuff, like surrealism, medieval torture.
Yeah, it sounds like it fits into the purview of the people who watch this movie. I
have like a lot of memories associated with this movie, but that just came to mind when he said VHS.
Yeah.
My VHS copy of this movie had a very bizarre, scary trailer that I always tried to fast forward.
It's a very therapeutic session we got going on.
No! Sorry, that was a tangent.
What do you, the song is iconic. What do you think about it as a David Bowie song?
I feel like the song is kind of somewhere between his like Young Americans sound and Ashes to Ashes. It's kind of a synthy, I don't know, maybe there was a little bit of influence from the movie. Maybe they gave him some like criticism or maybe they gave him some basic outline of what he needed to do for the songs. I don't know. It sounds a little bit different to me than other David Bowie music does.
Yeah, it's not like, there's some songs that strike me as very David Bowie, like the one that plays during the opening credits and when she's running home in the rain, right? And then the falling one during the ball scene. Those strike me as extremely David Bowie songs. This one is, it's got Muppets singing along with him and stuff like that. It's pretty base level, having fun, singing about dance, magic, dance.
It's like his 80s songs, I think. Mm-hmm. There are songs you hear of his in the 80s, like China Doll.
Yeah, China Girl.
Yeah, China Girl and Ashes to Ashes, and there's another one I'm not thinking of. Let's Dance. Yeah,
Let's Dance. Yeah, that's a good call. Yeah.
Yeah.
All those goblins. Let's dance.
He could have just as easily been Let's Dance in there.
What a Put on your baby slippers and dance the blues. Yeah, good stuff.
Yeah, I love David Bowie.
So that's a really fun scene altogether. Besides just watching David Bowie parading around, all the different Muppets, doing that thing that Muppets do when they're just kind of walking by the camera and suddenly face it and start singing. You get the close-up on the face. I also like that some of them were being played by either children or little people in costume, while the rest of them were all puppets. But there were definitely the ones that were standing next to the baby holding him up, those were actual people. And Bowie swinging the child around, throwing the baby in the air.
Even just the baby's like red and white striped pajamas and the beanie that he had is so memorable for me about this movie.
Little baby Waldo. We found him. Isn't there a different red and white striped like hat somebody's wearing, or am I thinking of?
She puts it on.
Yeah,
she puts on his beanie.
Oh, it's his beanie.
It goes with his jammies.
Oh, wait a minute. Why are you wearing a beanie with your jammies?
It's to keep you warm in cold places.
Shh, whatever. It's too much clothes for babies.
She stretched it out anyway.
Mm-hmm. Ruined. I don't know. That kid had a pretty big head for a baby.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.